Was talking about this just a moment ago. Fortune magazine, a report that Generation Y, those Americans born after 1980, have more education and yet fewer skills than any other generation of Americans. Gone to school more and longer and apparently learned less when compared to other nations in testing by Princeton-based educational testing service. June Campbell is the founder of Campbell Christian Academy in Dallas, where teachers approach education with old-fashioned lessons using pencil and paper, and she joins me live now. Good morning, June.
Good morning.
Let's talk. Let's start with your academy because we want to get a perspective on where you're coming from. Tell us a little bit about your school.
Oh, I'd love to. Well, we start children as early as 3 years old, and we go through the 6th grade. And we teach small classes, short hours, because children have short attention spans. And we teach them so that they actually learn how to learn. And by that, I mean that they learn a little bit, and then they master it. They learn a little bit more, master all of that. The way that we call a process of learning. And it's a process that takes them through their educational careers.
Give us a little example of that, how that might work in a particular case.
Okay. Well, I teach phonics, the old-fashioned way that works. And, in fact, I've written my own book on phonics. It's called Pure Phonics, and that's what I use to teach by. And, for example, with a beginner student, I take just 3 particular sounds, and they learn those 3 sounds, master them really, really well, and then they learn 3 more, and then they practice all 6 of them. And in about 3 lessons, I actually have them sounding out little words.
Oh.
And it's the same thing with math. You teach a child, or at least we teach the children, the basics of math. We teach them the addition facts, for example. And it's back to that process of learning, mastering little lessons. You teach them just a few. For example, 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 1 is 3, 3 + 1 is 4. And then you master that. And once they know those perfectly, they get to go on. But it's nothing like just being thrown a curriculum at the children and expecting them to learn. Kids have to learn how to learn.
Boy, that makes so much sense. You're singing to the choir. I will tell you, my son is 38 years old. But when he was 2, I taught him to read exactly the way you're saying, and I use those little blocks with letters on them. And you know, you line them up 2 at a time or 3. Cat. And you would just watch his little face light up, and he would realize that those symbols represented a cat.
They love it.
But it seems to me that we've gotten so bogged down in trying to deal with each individual child on an individual basis, and we're worried about their personal abilities and the problems that they may have to deal with in their personal lives and so forth. But you're just talking about going back to square one, and I think that's something that's been lost. How old what age groups does your school go to?
Well, we start as early as 3 years old, and we go through the 6th grade. And we don't keep the kids all day long. That's another thing. We keep them short hours for short attention spans. You know, I started this school 30 years ago. I've actually been teaching 40 years, but I started this school 30 years ago at our kitchen table. And I taught our own children how to read and how to do math. And neighbors started asking me to teach their children, and before I knew it, I had so many children I couldn't teach out of the house anymore. But we ended up teaching our children at home, not by any planned design, but by necessity, because I knew, having taught in the public schools 10 years high school, that if our children were going to learn, I was going to have to do the teaching. And our daughter ended up starting college at age 14, and she got a full academic scholarship to SMU and graduated cum laude from the Cox School of Business. So I brag on them a little bit because it shows the results. If you teach a child at an early age, you teach them correctly, the sky's the limit for them.
June, thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes. I wish we had more time, but where can people find out more about Campbell Christian Academy?
Our website is campbellchristianacademy.com, and we have another website, pure-publications.com,
Okay.
that tells about our publications, especially Pure Phonics.
All right. Well, again, thank you. Congratulations. We wish you a lot of continued success.
Thank you so much.
All right. June Campbell, founder of Campbell, a Christian Academy. KLIF News Time, 7:45.